Hello everyone, my name is Lawana Martin and this is my final project for the Tribal Courts in Indian Country module. While I'm an enrolled member of the Chickasaw Nation, I work for the absentee Shawnee Tribe of Oklahoma and thought that this project would be a good way to get to learn more about the tribe that I work for. I work as the PRC director in the healthcare system. And so the knowledge that I do know of the tribe is mostly related to healthcare. So it was really interesting to learn about the tribe's history and their tribal court system. So I hope that you'll also gain some information and some new knowledge about this tribe. The Absentee Shawnee tribe is known as a woodland tribe, and they were originally from the northern United States, and it's been said that they had traveled all the way from Canada down to Florida and as far east as the East Coast. But they were primarily known to have lived throughout Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, and Tennessee. They were part of a larger group known as the Shawnee Nation of Indians that also include what are now known as the Loyal Shawnee and the Eastern Shawnee. They got to be known as the Absentee Shawnee because during the signing of the 1854 treaty with the Shawnee in the United States to establish a reservation in Kansas, the clans of Big Jim and White Turkey were not present for the signing, and so they just listed them as the Absentee Shawnee. They did allot them some lands, so lands that were allotted for the absentee, but the clans were kind of upset about just kind of being allotted and not being included in the treaty making. So the clans that had been left off didn't settle into those allotted lands and instead moved into southern Oklahoma and Texas, which was then kind of a Mexican settlement. They stayed there until the late 1800s when federal agents and military escorts came in and removed them into what is now their reservation, which was then the new Indian settlement, the Indian land in Oklahoma, over by where Lake Thunderbird is in central Oklahoma. It was the same land that they actually awarded to the Citizen Potawatomi Nation, which they actually still share on that same reservation land. The absentee Shawnee people have a strong tie to their older culture and their traditions, and it's one that is passed down just through verbal teachings, and they limit outsiders to many of their ceremonies. They have a few that they do allow other tribes and non-tribal members and non-natives to be part of, but then there are still quite a few that are just for tribal members to engage in, and the tribal rituals and ceremonies and things are not written down. So those are things that are still kept very close and sacred to each tribal member. The Absentee Shawnee tribe ratified their constitution on December 5th, 1938, after gaining their federal recognition as a tribe in 1937. The tribe had previously established their tribal jurisdiction, as I had mentioned, sharing that lands with the Citizen Potawatomi Nation in 1890. During their initial enrollment for tribal members, they took a census for all persons that were eligible for tribal enrollment, and those were entered into rolls on January 1st of 1937. And then following that, in addition to those persons on that initial roll, they allowed members that were uh, biological children from those initial enrollees that were born from January 1st 1937 to April 17, 1954 were then granted into enrollment. That date of April 17, 1954 was the effective date for the Second Amendment of the Constitution and bylaws. The current enrollment requirement is for a 1/8 blood quantum, And then you must file for your enrollment with the enrollment office in Shawnee, who will verify your lineage and issue your enrollment card. And as of December 31st, 2023, there were 4,661 enrolled members. The Absentee Shawnee tribal government is made up of two branches, the judicial branch and then the legislative and executive branch. There's also an independent body for elections. There is a general council, which is comprised of all of the tribal members who are 18 years and older. The general council meets regularly to discuss tribal issues. They'll also vote for their tribal executive committee. The executive committee, or the EC, is made up of 5 elected officials. They must meet a set of guidelines set forth by the tribe and then pay a fee in order to run for office and apply for their campaign. The EC members are the governor, the lieutenant governor, the secretary, the treasurer, and the representative, and they all serve a 4-year term. One condition for the EC is that there cannot be 2 close family members serving in the EC at the same time. So that means that they cannot have 2 spouses, they can't have 2 siblings, or they can't have a parent and child serving in the committee at the same time. And then they also have an elections committee that's made up of 5 tribal members who facilitate not only the elections for the EC, but all other tribal elections, and then they serve 3-year terms. The Elections Commission works year-round to serve not just in the election years for the EC members, but also throughout the year and in between the big EC elections for any of the other elections that may come up for the tribe if they need to meet to ratifying anything in the Constitution or bylaws, if they want to meet to for some reason try to remove somebody from office or anything else that they need to have a general election for. The Absentee Shawnee courts prior to the IRA was pretty much non-existent, kind of as we discussed. The tribes were separated into clans, with each clan leader working with the tribal elders to resolve any issues that would arise within their areas. We kind of talked about it in lectures that Indian nations had no jails and they focused on community living and to work to make establishments within those communities easier. And so they worked to resolve those issues for the betterment of the tribe instead of just for the punishment of the person that maybe committed the infraction. So if you did commit a crime or did something that was against what would have been the like status quo of the tribe, then you still answer to your tribal elders and to your clan leader, and there would be a punishment. Some of them would be some capital punishment type things, or something that you would have to pay back to the family member that you wronged, or the other clan member that you wronged. But they wouldn't put you in any type of jail. It was just something that would punish you in a way for the crime that you committed, but at the same time ease over so that everyone was still harmonious within the clan to work together. As the tribes were relocated, obviously, and were forced to become more westernized, they also westernized their punishments and their judicial ideas and made a westernized court system. This worked not only to fit in more to a westernized society, but also so that they would be able to keep control over judicial things in their court systems. So they could still manage infractions with the tribe because then they had their own tribal court system, so that they didn't have to rely on a tribal member doing something and then having to go to court outside in courts where there were no tribal representation. They were going to be punished based off of rules and regulations that had nothing to do with how the tribe was ran. So they did structure court, and now they have a court system established that mimics pretty much any of the other courts that you would see in state or federal courts. The current court system, as I mentioned, is set up pretty much like a modern court system. There's a courthouse, and the judicial building is located within the tribal complex grounds in Shawnee, Oklahoma. It employs 2 full-time court clerks that are available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And then the court itself is made up of 7 justices. They have listed 3 Supreme Court justices, 2 district court justices, 1 special cases judge, and then 2 alternate judges that come in to assist in cases as they're needed. The court can hear a variety of cases, including civil cases, criminal cases for which the tribe does have their own police department, which currently compacts with local law enforcement. So that includes city patrols for the local towns, county sheriff's deputies, as well as the other tribal police departments that share the reservation, such as the Citizen Potawatomi Nation. Indian child welfare cases, where again the tribe has their own ICW division that employs ICW caseworkers and liaisons to help with the ICW cases, juvenile case matters, and a will-variety court that I'll speak on a little bit more later. There's also a number of other legal documents that can be heard to be obtained throughout the court system, including things like divorce decrees, guardianship papers, custody agreements, miscellaneous other judgment decrees that you can get, and even marriage licenses. One of the really interesting points that I learned about the Absentee Shawnee Court while doing some of the research was that they utilize their tribal citizens for their jury cases. So just as you always hear that your jury, if you're on a jury case, is set up of a jury of your peers, if you have a case that you're going through tribal court, your jury is actually made up of a jury of your tribal member peers. They will make sure that all of the jury members have no relation to anyone who's associated with the case, so there's no conflict of interest there. And then when the need arises to fill a jury, the court will ask for volunteers from the tribal community, and they'll even send out emails through tribal work email to request for jury members. And because the tribe employs quite a few tribal members within the tribe at its different tribal locations within the health system, within the tribal complex, and then within its businesses such as the casinos and things. And then one of the benefits for volunteering compared to, I guess, being told, like having to go to jury duty, it kind of works the same way. Most offices will let you off for that, but if you volunteer for to be on a tribal jury, then the tribe does allot you administrative leave. So if you volunteer to be on the jury, then you're not out any time from work. They will give you administrative leave to go and serve on a jury for the tribe. So online, when you look up to see about the Absentee Shawnee court system, they have a list of tribal attorneys, and it will list the attorneys that are contracted to represent for cases for the tribe, and then it notates of those attorneys who are members of the Absentee Shawnee Bar. And so if you read through the contract and the compact for the bar guidelines, it spells out exactly what those guidelines are for an attorney to go from being just a contracted attorney to requesting to be an absentee Shawnee tribal bar attorney. And that states any member in good standing of the bar of a Supreme Court of the United States or of any United States Court of Appeals or of any District Court of the United States or any person appointed as tribal justice, judge, or magistrate, or member in good standing of the bar of the highest court of any Indian tribe or state of the United States, is eligible for admission to the bar of this court. And so then they would file a request with the court clerk, they would pay their fee, and then their application goes to the committee of the bar, and then they could be accepted. And so instead of just being an attorney on file, they would actually be an absentee Shawnee member of the bar. So in addition to attorneys, the court also has what they call tribal lay advocates. And so those do not have to be persons who have like their Juris Doctorate. They are members that have gone through a process to show that they have the education and the knowledge to be able to practice in a tribal court, but without necessarily the formal education or degree. And so the blurb that talks about what they have to have for an advocate according to the bylaw states any member of a federally recognized Indian tribe. So that part is a little bit different from the regular attorneys because the attorneys, to even be on the bar, do not actually state that they have to be um, native to be an attorney for the tribe, but to be a lay advocate, it does state any member of a federally recognized Indian tribe shall be eligible for admissions as a lay advocate upon successfully taking a comprehensive examination on the laws and rules applicable in the tribal court. Upon receiving a passing score and showing moral fitness to practice law, such persons can be admitted with the same rights, privileges, duties as any attorney. So you're still having to take an exam, so it doesn't state how closely it is to, say, the bar exam, but you have to be native and then you have to take an exam and successfully pass it, and then they will look at your application. And if accepted, then you have the same rights and privileges as the licensed attorneys to be able to practice in the tribal court system. The Absentee Shawnee Tribal Silver Procedure Code 1989 states in Section 6, no effect of tribal sovereignty, and in no way this act shall be construed to be a waiver of the sovereign immunity of the tribe. So that makes sure that throughout all of the proceedings, that nowhere in there will there ever be a waiver for the sovereign immunity of the tribe. So that protects the sovereign immunity of the tribe throughout any of the litigations that they may engage in. So as we spoke about in class, tribes having a well-briety or a drug court, the absentee Shawnee tribe does have a well-briety court in place. It lists as its purpose to have a sober thought process, permanently stop using drugs and or alcohol, and have a crime-free life. There are certain cases that you have the option to request to go to the well-briety court. These are cases that are associated with drugs, alcohol, domestic violence, or other anger or violence crimes. Once you ask for the court to take those to the well-briety court, you have certain requirements that have to be met and certain steps that have to be followed. But if accepted, there are great benefits that you can get if you successfully complete your course. And each step of the way, you have certain progress. So the way it was set up is there's different phases for each of it. And through your verified progress through the program that you can gain different incentives. So say part of the phase 1 part of the program is that you are required daily check-ins, and if it's for drug-related offenses, you have to take daily or 2 to 3 times a week drug testing. And so if you have so many successful, or I guess negative, drug tests in a row, then you can get a reduction in your fines that you're owed. Or they'll give you kind of what they call a free waiver. So if you've missed one of those daily call-ins, but you've had 10 negative drug tests in a row, then they'll waive the what would be a reprimand for that missed call-in. Some of the other options they can give you are you could get an option for the early or late docket in the court for one of your hearings. So each of the steps, there are certain requirements that you have to meet. And if you get so many of those, you kind of get points to get towards incentives to continue going. But at the same time, not only are you getting incentives, but they also give you harsher punishments. So if you're accepted into the program and you're not meeting your guidelines, so you're supposed to be attending anger management classes for your domestic violence or therapy sessions, and you're no showing to them, then you can actually be faced with increased fines or increased jail time. And if you have a significant number of those, then you could actually be kicked out of the program. So then you're faced with higher fines, more jail time, and then going back through the traditional court system anyway. But if you follow the steps that are outlined for you through the program and get through a successful completion, not only have you obviously made it through the program and are clean and sober, or have made it through, a wellness for anger management or something like that, but they will also waive, in a lot of cases, your fines that you owed, the fees to the court that you would have owed, as well as even that criminal charge off of your record. So your drug charge won't go on your permanent record, your alcohol charge, maybe your DUI that you had been stopped for, those won't go on your permanent record if you've successfully completed that Wellbriety court program. The Wellbriety program also offers a lot of non-court related benefits. They can offer things like assistance with health care. One of the first things that you have to do for the Wellbriety for any of the cases is they will have you do an intake through the health system. And so you have to go and have a general physical and make sure that you're cleared and kind of get an intake there. But that also kind of gets your foot in the door with healthcare. So if you don't have a general practitioner, that will get you in there just for your general health and well-being, to kind of make sure everything's going well there, get a general checkup, get general lab work done, to kind of get you off on a better start with that. In addition to that, they offer assistance with housing, either to get you into housing if you're not. So if you maybe were indigent and living on the streets, or bouncing house to house from friends or relatives, things like that, they can help you to get into either tribal housing or some other subsidy housing. Um, or if you have your own housing but maybe we're struggling, they have assistance with housing supplements, housing modifications if you happen to need something, housing repairs, but it will get you in touch with a lot of the tribal programs to help you kind of get a housing situation, if it's even like electric or heating or other utilities, but it's the things that can help to better you so you're not having barriers to any other daily living issues, just to make your overall existence kind of in a positive light. They can also offer assistance with parenting, so that could mean daycare assistance, it could mean parenting classes, child and parent therapies, assistance through the court for custody or guardianship cases, along with that. So you can, a lot of times that will help out in your custody or guardianship, that you can also say that you're in the Wellbriety court, so you're looking to better yourself, can help out your custody and guardianship cases. They can help out with employment. So if you're looking to file for disability or unemployment, they can assist with that paperwork. They can also assist you to find a job if you're looking for a job, either outside of the tribe or especially within the tribe. They have employment options there. They even have specific programs that are helpful to people trying to get reestablished in the workforce, to kind of get your foot in the door to get back into a job. Some of them are on a temporary basis just to get you back in and working, that can then be turned into a permanent job. if things work out. They offer assistance for education. They can assist in getting your GED if you need to start there. They have money for trade programs. They have courses for trades that work through the tribe to help you to learn a trade. They can also offer money for just different trade schools, money for higher education through a tech school or for college. And all of that is kind of in the hopes, going back to that tribal idea of not just sending somebody off just to punish them for a crime, but to help out the community as a whole. So even though somebody may have done something wrong or are having something going on, you're trying to make them a better person in the hopes that they will then help their community, that they will then help the tribe. So you're helping them to get past whatever that barrier is, and then they're going to give back by working for the tribe to become a more educated member of your tribal society. So the tribe is helping its member in return for that member to then come back and help the tribe. The court meeting has some different options. So they have your traditional options. They meet regularly in session 3 times a month, but they're also available for emergencies and can come together if they have something that has to be met right then to get a hearing done. The Supreme Court itself is available when necessary and when upon filing for an appeal. Um, they also now offer some appearances through technology. When COVID happened, everything kind of went virtual, but they've kind of kept it on. So people that have health reasons or transportation issues or just some other issue that you may have, but you can't appear for your hearing in person, you can make an appeal to the court to ask for a virtual hearing. But it has to be done prior to your court date, obviously, but you can request for the hearing to be done virtual. The hearing itself obviously still takes place in the courthouse, but they can help to set you up to do basically a webcast. And so you would log in from whatever your web device is, your phone or a laptop or a tablet. And so you would be there virtually and then broadcast into the hearing inside the courtroom. They also offer now a lot of things through their web page. So you can go online to download a lot of documents so that you can print them off at home or fill them out or even fill them out on a computer. If it doesn't require signatures, a wet signature. There's a lot of options to upload documents just online. So if you have it and you've scanned it, you can upload it online. They have just a question submission that you can submit questions to the court clerks. So even though court is only in session 3 times monthly, the court clerks, as I had mentioned before, are there full time. So they're there to assist with other needs, to answer questions, and those online forms have made it so it's reduced the amount of time that tribal members have to go back and forth to the courthouse just to submit a document or to submit a payment or having to call or having to wait to ask a question or ask about a form. So that's helped out a lot. That is the end of my presentation. So I hope that you all learned something from a little bit of the brief history of the absentee Shawnee tribe and then kind of an overview of the modern court system of the tribe itself. I know I learned a little bit about the tribe, which I was glad to, even though it's not my personal tribe, it is the tribe that I work for. So it was interesting to learn something about it and to tie that into all of the things that we've learned through this course. And so, as they would say with the Absentee Shawnee, Ni Yahweh. And thank you for listening to my presentation.